in Portland as the Blazers went into Dallas and unfortunately dropped a tough one, 130 to 110 to Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. You got the fifth quarter here. As I said, Chris Burkhardt filling in. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Twitter at Chris J. Burkhardt. I am joined by super producer Preston. Find him on Twitter at PC_Highfield. And the phone numbers are open, 503-248-0620. If you're on hold, we'll get to you here shortly. We've got to get through some things here first. And this was just a brutal one. It was a tough one for the Blazers. They came out pretty fast. You know, they looked good in the first half of the first quarter. Then Luka turned it on, did his thing. And the second quarter, it started to fall apart. People can look to the third quarter. That's what Travis and Michael Holton were looking at there. Mavericks outscored the Blazers 38-22 in the third quarter. Personally, I thought it was the second quarter that was the undoing. There was a point there in the second quarter where Dallas had outscored the Blazers 21-6 in the quarter. Like, that was when they turned it on, and the third quarter was just more of an onslaught from what they had already started there in the second. And it didn't get any better from there. I mean, it's not very often that a coach waves the white flag in the middle of the third quarter. And that's what happened in this one. It was midway through when it was Trendon Watford and co. and Greg Brown was getting a run. And, yeah, that does, like I said, doesn't happen very often. Jabari Walker, 12 minutes. Greg Brown, 12 minutes. Keon Johnson, 18 minutes. Trendon Watford, 25 minutes. Shaedon Sharpe led all players on the Blazers with 30. So, yeah, that's what happens in a game like this. As always, we're right here on your radio waves in your car, at your home, on your smart device at Rip City Radio 620. And we're on YouTube as well. Just go to the link that we're going to tweet out here in just a moment. See, I reminded myself that I hadn't done that yet. And go to YouTube if you want. Just go to YouTube /at Rip City Radio. You can find us there. Join the YouTube chat. Got a few of you in there right now, which is awesome. As the Orb chimes in on YouTube, says, I never worry about playing the Lakers, Kings, Warriors, Clippers, but there's something about Denver and Dallas that really screws the Blazers over. Not wrong. Not wrong. There's something about that. I think it's because that arena down there in Dallas is just so spacious. They're used to playing in Moda where it's built, top, down, up. It's really high. In Dallas, it's built from the court out. It's really wide. I think it messes with their depth perception. At least that's what I'm sticking to. It has to stand for something. But overall, again, just a tough one for your Portland Trail Blazers. You can look at the box score here, kind of see how things went down. Damian Lillard scored 24 points. So it wasn't an awful night for him, but there just wasn't a lot of help. 16 points from Yusuf Nurkic, 6 points from Josh Hart, 7 points from Jeremy Grant, and 7 points from Anthony Simon. So if you want to look at the box score, there's your issue, right? We talked about pregame, Preston, how the way to beat the Mavericks was to focus on Luka to an extent, but just make sure no one else beats you, right? Make sure Christian Wood doesn't beat you. Make sure Dinwiddie doesn't beat you. Make sure Dorian Finney-Smith doesn't beat you, okay? But that's the same thing that can be said about the Blazers, right? Sometimes Lillard's going to get his, but don't let those other guys beat you. Don't let Josh Hart beat you. Don't let Jeremy Grant beat you. Don't let Ant beat you. And Dallas didn't let him beat him.
Dude, Jeremy Grant and Ant, where were they tonight? Dame was fine. I just thought this is one of those games where it's like the Blazers' style of play caught up to them. When you chuck a bunch of threes early in the shot clock and they don't go in, that leads to a lot of easy buckets on the other end. Pair that with Dallas, shot 18 of 43 from three tonight. They hit 18 triples. That is always a recipe to win, especially when you're shooting at over 40%. And then Christian Wood got loose in that first half. That was probably the most underrated acquisition of the offseason in the entire NBA. 20 points in the first quarter and a half for Christian Wood. And, when Luka was off the floor and Wood was still able to dominate, like when they're plus with Luka off the floor, it's never good, man. And the Blazers defense, we can officially stamp it, declare it. It was fool's gold for the first 10 games. Their defense is not good.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about three-point shooting. Blazers came into this game second in the NBA, technically third, but Boston and Denver are tied for first there. But second in the NBA in 3-point percentage at 39%, shot just 35 in this one. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a difference. And then you look at Dallas, right? Dallas is in the middle of the NBA at 35%, and they shot almost 42% from the 3-point line in this one. And it was coming from everybody not named Luka, which is not what you want. If you want to join in, get your comments in here, hit the phone lines 503-248-0620, or join us on YouTube. Get up in the chat. I see a few of you in there right now, which is awesome. But let's get out to those phone lines. We have Ken in Vancouver. Ken, welcome into the fifth quarter. How you doing?
Hey, well, other than the Blazer loss, the debacle, I'm doing okay. But, Chris, I think, we've gotten beaten, decent, pretty good in a couple other games. But this was the first game where it just looked like the team was lifeless tonight. I mean, the bench wasn't, but the actual starters were just didn't have it. Even Dame looked a little heavy legged tonight. But the big one for me in this game, it wasn't Luka, because Luka was out of the game for most of it. But you play fantasy basketball, do you not?
I do. I don't play it very well, but I play it.
Well, I'm pretty decent at it. So, and I really study the players all around the league because, you have to pick up guys, when you have guys go down and so on and so on. But I have Christian Wood on my team, and I can tell you he has been one of the most frustrating players to have this year, and I don't blame him one bit. I blame that kooky coach there and Luka Doncic, because they have not gotten Christian Wood involved at all. Matter of fact, he's only averaging about 22 minutes a game off the bench. He's not even a starter. And tonight, with Luka off, doing his pouting act, doing whatever he does in the bathroom or whatever, Christian Wood went off. It was like literally him showing his coach, hey, I can actually play this game. I can be a double-double machine if you let me. And tonight was a coming-out party for him. Now, whether that idiot of a coach in Dallas actually looks at it or he decides, well, no, I'm going to keep using Luka at a 42 percentage, base, and I'll put Christian Wood back to 20 minutes a game. We'll find out. But it was a coming-out party for him, and we looked like there was tryptophan in the barbecue we ate yesterday.
Well, maybe I don't know what's going on. It's remember the Mike Muscala game when Oklahoma City came to town a few years back, and he had his career high. And then earlier this season, the Portland defense was just what the doctor ordered for Ben Simmons to get his get right game. And now it was just what the doctor ordered for Christian Wood to get his get right game. He thinks it's the Blazers defense, Ken.
Well, that to a point, but when you're only playing 22 minutes a game, tonight he played way more than 22 minutes, Chris. I mean, he's literally being underutilized in Mavericks land, and tonight was the weird thing. I mean, if Jason Kidd would have played him the way he's been playing him, he would have taken him out halfway through the hot streak and said, nope, that's enough for your time. Because, like I said, I watch his stats because my league, we've had a league for 14 years. Everybody takes it so seriously. Nobody wants to lose. We actually have a World Wrestling Federation looking championship belt for it.
Nice.
So I have actually taken it through TSA, and they were all looking at it as I went through the thing because they're like, "What the heck is this thing?" So, but I'm just saying that Mavericks team, they were on a losing streak. We got Denver off their losing streak. They ended up winning against us. That one they stole from us, but hey, they won it. But tonight I thought this was the worst performance.
Yeah, sorry there. All the phones died. Turn the phone off. Turn the phone off, Preston. Preston, turn the phone off there, please. Thank you. He hung up on everyone. I'm sorry, Ken. Join us in the chat there. Preston is he's of the generation, guys, where he prefers texting. Okay, so I'm not gonna fault him. He prefers texting. Ken, I apologize.
Hey, sorry, but I just wanted to talk to Ken myself. I'd had enough of you guys on the air.
Yeah. Hey, preacher's calling back. All right. That's funny. That happens. Sorry about that, Ken. Get in on the chat on YouTube. I know you're going to get in on that. But kind of to your point there, right, as you went off, and I apologize to all you guys. Yeah, this is one of those games, man. Just felt like punched right in the mouth, right? Like the losses haven't felt like that. They haven't felt like this was the one where you just had to go, oh, okay, that's it. This team doesn't have it in them tonight. And I was talking to some fans on Discord as well, and it's just like turning it off in the middle of the third quarter, and the general consensus was, man, I haven't done that one all year long. So yeah, to your point, Ken, absolutely, kind of one of those just weird games. Shout out to Nick Thompson in the chat too, throwing out all the possible Drew Eubanks nicknames, since that's still a thing. Drew the Big Trout, Drew the Underdog. Yeah, we'll see. The Big Fish. I still like Drew Banks. It's simple. The Troutdale Shack, the Troutdale Tower flows. It all works wonderfully. It all works wonderfully. And the phone lines, they are lighting up. Dial it in, 503-248-0620. Let's go back out to the phone lines now. Preston, it's just like you're accepting a text message, bro. Let's head out to the Preacher. Welcome into the fifth quarter, Preacher.
Yo, bro, what's up, man? Total meltdown tonight.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about it other than when I see the second and third quarter is like no production. I just don't know where their heads were at. It was unlike.
My bad. I was trying to answer a different call.
What was that, Preacher? Sorry.
Oh, no, I apologize. I was like, I'm just unused to the Blazers being like this, a little bit lethargic and all that.
Yeah, it's just weird, right?
Right? Yeah, it felt that way, especially, you can't give up that many points. And that's where the reality is I was like, man, they're just giving up way too many points and blah, blah, blah. But, yo, I honestly wanted to ask you this, since we're on YouTube Live.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yo, this is going headway. And with Clyde Drexler not being there, and we're talking straight talk right now, I'm actually disappointed. If Clyde Drexler's not there, it hurts my feelings as a Blazer fan. What about you?
Yeah, it is. It's a weird situation, right? I don't know where he's at, what's he going to do. I had no idea. And I'm sure, I don't know how many people did. Chad and I were talking about this the other day, that he's not on that broadcast team anymore, so he's not guaranteed to be in the building, which I think a lot of Blazer fans, myself included, I'm looking at this going, man, if you have a chance to break the record in Houston, in front of Clyde, in front of the team that he left Portland to go play, like, it just doesn't get more poetic than that, right, Preacher? But if he's he's not there, it's just another away game to me.
Man, it's poetic. It's poetic justice. I hope if Clyde's there, he's there. If not, what's funny is I kind of understand, since he's the 50th great NBA all-time athlete, but he chose the Houston jersey. Did he not?
He did. He was a Houston guy. We can't forget.
And, so it's kind of hard to get where his feelings are for the Blazers and all that. But I really do hope Lillard is really at the gatekeeper at this point. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that, bro. Love your show. Get the ambiance going. I'm going to send memorabilia to your show. Just get the address going and flowing, Howard Stern style. Bye.
All right, Preacher. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call, as always. And, yeah, it's a tough game, man, Preston. They felt a little just lethargic. I think that's a good term. And then also, yeah, if you can't get them, you can't do it in front of Clyde. What's the point, man? All right, let's keep the phones going before we go to the next one. Remember, you can jump in, 503-248-0620. But let's go out to Dan in Southeast. Dan, welcome into the fifth quarter.
Disappointing evening. The crowd side with disappointment, man. What are you going to do?
I just got to give you props for your perfect timing before we move on. The perfect timing of just the exhale of your depression from the game. That was wonderful.
Oh, that's okay. That's the program, man. Boy, it stings even more because I can't stand the Mavs. I really can't. I don't like them as a team. I would rather watch a Wizards game than a Mavs game, which says plenty. And let's just set aside the fact that they got the most punchable dude in the association. Like his his stank hovers like a toxic cloud over the roster. But let's put that aside. There's nobody that gets me excited on the team. There's nobody that gets me out of my seat. Spencer Dinwiddie seems like an interesting dude. That's it. Like Reggie Block's hair is the second most like compelling thing about that roster. It sucks. And everything about Luka. I hate how good he is, and I hate how he is about being. I just hate it. So not a good loss. But on the one hand, I'm like, they have kind of earned this. I feel like I've gotten into a mode where I know anytime I turn on the TV, like I feel after we're 30 games in, I feel like we can safely say when I turn on the TV to watch the Blazers play, they're going to play hard, they're going to compete, they're going to be in it down the stretch. More nights than not, and if they're not, it's not going to be for lack of competing and lack of trying and leaving it all out there, and I didn't see that as early as the second quarter. And in the third, it really seemed like so many places where folks were a step slow. And the Mavs shot really well and played really well. But I'm not going to take this one game and interpret it as a shift in the climate of the season. They're going to be fine. It was, in fact, I referred to this some time ago, that it was George Karl who said, if you can get a guy to have his head totally into the game and leave it out there for every second that he's on the floor, if you can get that out of a guy for 80% of the season, you're an awesome coach.
Yeah.
Because it's just human nature. 82 games, it's just not going to happen. And when it hits a couple of players, it can get infectious, and that's what happens. And certainly that's been the one consistent thing with this team is they've been out there balling and competing every time they take the floor. And I'm just not going to take this one game and think any less of it. So not too worried about it. Although it must be said, as everyone's saying when they call in, that was not a good look defensively. Like
it was not.
If there's an overarching concern I have is that it seems like we're winning games. It feels a little bit more like it did last season, where we're just relying on outside shooting carrying us and being so awesome offensively. And Dame's going to go bonkers, and we'll give up a lot of outside shots, but we'll figure out a way to score more in the end. That's awesome because it wins you games.
Yeah.
It has for many years here. It has all through the Dame era, pretty much. But I don't know that the outcome is any different in the postseason, and that's a concern. But whatever.
I would agree. I mean, this game right here, this game right here, Dan, this game played out almost the exact same as those two wins over Minnesota. Because in those two games, if you go back, Minnesota was getting through the Swiss cheese defense and just getting shot after shot at the rim. The difference was Ant and Dame were each scoring 30. Dame was making 11 three-pointers. The offense was churning. But today, when the offense wasn't there outside of Dame, then that bad defense this was not like a one-off, has been there for multiple games now, looked even worse because it allowed Dallas to get out to this big lead because there wasn't the scoring punch there to counteract it.
Yeah, it's troublesome. So I think I've never been happier to have a couple of lower end teams on the schedule in terms of win-loss record. So hopefully we can get a couple comparatively easy wins. I'd love to see 3-0, in Houston and OKC. I think we still have a shot to go 4-2 on this trip if we can take care of business on the road. And the only other thing I'll say about tonight is that's one of the great things about this team. I think we should be grateful that we've got a team that's capable. I mean, this is really one of the saving graces of having a team with a great offense is it's a little bit like Golden State, and like you're down 20, that's the problem. Like if they're within 20 with like 5 or 6 to go, I'm still watching. A couple back-to-back threes, steal, bang, bang, like they have demonstrated. And Dame says it, and we've seen it, where they can put up points in bunches. And so even when they're down 20 going into the fourth, I'm in. And even when they're not, dude, I'll watch 10 minutes of garbage time with Shaden. Every single play, I'm like, dude, everybody just get out of the way and just let Shaden, isolate or whatever. I'm totally down for watching Greg Brown getting smoked on one end and then like trying to chaos dunk every single time down the floor. That's fun. So tough loss, but better things ahead. Rip City, baby.
All right, Dan. Thanks for the call as always, bud. We'll look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully tomorrow you get to call in and talk about a much better performance. But man, again, just a tough one overall. For those of you watching on YouTube, we're going to do the usual thing. We're going to mute me. We're going to take a quick little break. All right, welcome back into Game Day. Chris Burkhart here, filling in for Chad Dewing. Find me on Twitter at Chris J. Burkhart. Joined by my man Preston Highfield. You can find him at PC_Highfield. We'll talk to you on Twitter. We'll do our best. On Twitter, hopefully you can hear me. It looks like my camera's going nuts, so it doesn't like what I'm doing, but that's okay. We'll keep talking. You can keep hearing me, hopefully. That's good. All right, welcome back. Now, Game Day. Chris Burkhart here. This game, man. The best part about it, you just get to, you just get to move on. You get to do it again tomorrow. That's all that really matters. And I think Chauncey understood that. I think Chauncey understood that because, as we said a second ago, he pulled his guys. He pulled his guys with halfway through the third quarter, Preston. Like, you don't see that very often, but he did it. He knew the importance of this game, man, of this game coming up, right? He knew the importance of it. He knew that the wins need to come when you can get them, and you can't mess around and try to get some big fourth quarter comeback, right? You just can't do it. You can't do that. So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We got Victor in Turkey. YouTube, I apologize. We're trying to fix something. But Victor, how we doing?
All right, man. All right. Are you Kyle?
What was that?
I'm talking to Kyle. I forgot your name.
Oh, this is Chris. I'm usually in the back answering when you call, Victor, and putting you on hold for Chad. But Chad is out today. You got Chris.